Hello, hello. Here we are again, coming to you from the Paranormal World Show under the umbrella of Broadcast Team Alpha. And it's Sunday night again. So we're going to have some fun, some interesting fun. You know, when you look outside of the box, things get interesting. And my name is Agi, and I'm the host of this one. And we are coming to you from 44 different platforms around the world, and we are also transmitting on the Conscious Awakening Network. You got to go visit them, this consciousawakeningnetwork.org, because they got about 40 some, maybe 50 shows now of all kinds of different things from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum of things that you really would like to see. So go on there and become a member, and you'll have your eyes wide open too, like I do. And now, before I introduce the guest again, he's a return to this show. And I also want to let you know about a spiritual think tank that Nori and I have created, where we do amazing things. Things that science cannot explain and things that should not exist or should not happen, but it does. Like healings, abundance, and things that everybody would want, but they not necessarily know how to do. Come and visit and you'll find out. Anyway, I want to introduce a guest again. He is returning here to the paranormal show, and it's Gil Carlson, and he has written 41 books, and unless he's got one more squeezed out of there by last time I talked to him, he's making so many books like he probably feel like a baker making donuts. And I uh, I only have about five or six of them, and they get really interesting. And we've done a few shows on some of those books, and we'll probably do some more. And I would say that go to his website. Actually, go to Amazon is probably the easiest way to find his books. To Amazon.com and then put in Gil Carlson, and you'll see all 41 of them there. So that will be good. And I have introduced him before, and many of you probably already know him. And he's a writer, and he's a researcher, he's a digger. He finds stuff that a lot of other people don't find, and we're going to hear some about that. So welcome to the show again, Gil.
Thank you, Augie. Um, I do have to say that my books, all 41, are amazing, especially
Yeah,
the one we're going to talk about tonight. I like to dig deep and find stuff that no one else can find and bring out a lot of things people need to know, no matter who I make mad in the government.
yeah. And I also have discovered that because of what you have done with these books, created all these books on subjects that is hard to find anything about, you have people both from the private industry and government contacting you and giving you information that is in a sometimes diplomatic way, but sometimes straight out put into the books.
Yes, a lot of things are shared with me. Maybe not all the classified documents I'd like to see, but sometimes they just steer me in the right direction, and then I can
Yeah.
do a lot of research and discover things,
Yeah.
discover amazing things. Now, tonight, this is the book we're going to be covering.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. And alien abductions and CIA mind control experiments. Now, we're we've all been familiar with alien abductions. There's so much information out there. But what I discovered, and I'm going to try and bring it up tonight, is there's a lot more to it. Sometimes the government likes to mislead us and send us in the wrong direction.
Hmm.
And but I want to discover what's really going on out there. And I think I've done a pretty good job in this book.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll get a chance to order one of these.
Yeah.
Not because I need the money, but mostly because I want
People
to get
need to
this
know.
information out there. Yes,
Yeah.
that's my main goal. Um, and I've always questioned things about the alien abductions, and there seems to be things in there that don't make sense. And
Mhm. Yeah, and the alien abduction, that insinuates that it's from another planet or from something that is not on Earth, but there are times when that may not be the case, isn't it?
yes, yes, it's what I've run across is there's a lot of government involvement, and it's amazing the stories that are out there, or where there's so many stories on alien abductions that that mention seeing besides the aliens on these ships,
Yeah.
seeing humans, sometimes in human form, sometime as in a military uniform, and, and it's very very interesting.
Yeah, what's the story on when you or if someone get abducted, get on the ship and they get on the table and they scrape skin or whatever they do to them, and then they find themselves alone in the room, so they get off of the table and wander off into the ship. And in some of the rooms they see people like us with military uniforms. That bothers me a little bit.
Well, and from what I've understood and what I've read is in some of these reports, the humans seem to be like in charge. Sometimes they're observing and sometimes they're in charge. Uh, and I believe that alien technologies are being used against us by our government. And that may be the key to all these mysteries. Uh, I'm not out to claim that aliens, abductions, and animal mutations and UFOs are not real. These have been going on for
Long
a
time, yeah.
long time. And but I want to look deeper into this and find out what's really going on.
I
And
think also that when you see that there are humans in military uniform and sometimes in kind of like white coats, the humans, and the question is, who else is there? They could be that maybe the aliens that seem to be there are not even aliens. Could it be?
um, that's a possibility. There's a lot of stories behind that of how
I love to hear one.
well it's kind of interesting now. You know, I'm thinking back here and of course there have been alien abductions for years,
Yeah,
but the more recent ones, like say from the 40s and Betty and Barney Hill and stuff
yeah.
like that,
Mhm.
these all seem to be the grays that are involved in this,
Yeah.
and they're kind of like robotic. Um, and it could be, and most likely, that a lot of these recent ones um, are being run by our government. Whether or not they're being run, some of them being run with aliens, or or um, well, there have been cases where there have been aliens in some of these abductions but are more of a maybe disguise humans disguised as aliens,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
from the CIA or something. And then there's some that where it's more like mind control, where you think you're
yeah.
actually on a ship or spaceship and you're maybe not. And you think that there's aliens, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're humans, um, either in disguise or they trick your mind into thinking you're seeing these things. And
We know that the CIA and the NSA, no search agency, we know they have the technology to clear memory or replace or inject a specific memory into your mind. So what you're saying here could be that they are doing something with you and then give you the false memory of being on a ship that will give you some plausible explanation for yourself only that, oh yeah, I was abducted. There was nothing else going on. Could that
um,
make
yes, yes, there was a case in, I believe it was Brazil, a guy named Boaz, and and it turned out information was uncovered that it was staged by the CIA down there,
Mhm.
and with mind control, and he and he was like taken somewhere to some room, and he thought he was on an alien ship,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of experimentation being done down there by our government and in mind control.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, a lot of the old CIA mind control programs that supposedly were abandoned years ago, I think are still active because they don't give up on things that
No,
work.
they never quit what's working.
Yeah, but
No.
what started me thinking about a lot of this stuff was Whitley Strieber in his book on communion.
Yeah.
Uh,
I wonder if I could get you to comment on something that I saw in your book too. First of all, when you talk about Brazil down there, the people or the CIA agents down there, they were probably Americans, but then again, they have CIA operatives in just about every country,
yes.
so that they can control those countries. But what country do you think some of these are from if they were not from the United States? Do you think they were maybe from Brazil? Or I know England is very involved in this mind control. They've done it for a long time over there. I know the Russians are doing it. And at that level of space technology, I don't think the countries don't even exist anymore. They kind of blend together into one big mind power, so to speak. Couldn't it be?
Well, in my book, I try to cover a lot of that of what's really going on. And, we like to assume that it's our government, but it could be like some kind of world government, secret world government behind it.
There you
And there's
go.
a lot of things where aliens are involved um, with our governments and in control of things.
Yeah. I
But
saw something else in your book also where one that was abducted, he asked the extraterrestrial, why are you doing this? And telepathically, he got the message back where the extraterrestrial told him, we have needs and wants also. And in some way, humans are more advanced than we are. I wonder, what would the meaning of that be? How would they, or we be more advanced than them? I would love to have you comment on this because, you know,
I was puzzled by that. That really made me think, and found that very interesting. Uh, and from what I've discovered in the past, um, there's a lot of our abilities that the aliens have been kind of jealous of.
Mhm.
Uh, and there's a lot of psychic abilities we have.
Yeah,
They're they have mental telepathy, but it's not as good as ours. It's more of a I don't know how to describe it, more of like a computer
mhm.
enhanced type of ability they have, where we have true psychic abilities,
Yeah,
and and everybody has them, but we've seemed to have lost them or they're being
yeah,
blocked. And a lot of people have been able to work on it and develop their skills.
yeah.
My
We,
daughter is for one. She is amazing psychic.
mhm.
And, I got to tell you, sorry, my few years ago, my daughter and a friend went to a place in Williamsburg, Virginia here, and there was a Halloween ghost tour. My daughter started picking up on so many things that the rest of the people in the group left um, the leader there and started following my daughter to hear what she was picking up on.
Oh, all right.
But what I was getting at earlier is kind of what started me on some of this thinking about what's really going on alien abductions was Whitley Strieber's book Communion. Um,
Mhm.
he mentioned about his house up in upstate New York. I guess it's more of a cabin. Um, but he mentions a helicopter above his roof.
Mhm.
And and that seems to be there's a lot of involvement of helicopters.
Yeah.
Um, whether or not they just show up to check out the situation. Um, but I believe that a lot of these Black Hawk helicopters can be disguised as UFOs,
Yeah.
and that led me to start digging deeper into this to find out who's really behind these
Mhm.
abductions.
Yeah, and then some of the abductees, they're told that they should drink a container of some liquid that seems to be involved in somehow either altering or wiping memory.
It probably can be a number of things. It seems to be wiping the memory. Um,
Mhm.
Going back to Whitley Strieber,
Yeah.
there's a story where he met this person in Toronto, Canada, that came in and he wasn't sure if he was human or alien or what he was, but he was a very intelligent person and was sharing like a lot of information about the future. And and when he left, he gave Whitley a glass of something to drink, and and he drank it and fell asleep. Uh, and there's a number of in the book. There's a number of stories of other people that were given uh, either a clear liquid or
Yeah.
yellow liquid to drink, and they were told that it'd either erase their memories or help them to relax or something to that effect. But I have to tell your audience out there, if they're ever offered a drink, don't drink it.
Yeah.
Geez, I can't I can't imagine somebody handing me a drink and I'm going to drink it. And there's one story in the book of a person that was given the drink, and he just took a couple of sips and set it aside because he wanted to remember everything,
Mhm.
and he did. So obviously they're not watching you that closely. Make sure you drink it all.
Yeah. And I remember that man that Whitley Strieber said showed up and talked to him, he said also that man or mankind is trapped.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
I'm
yes.
here to help you open the trap. And he said that I think it was something to the effect that you are machines. Any intelligent machine will try to improve itself all the way up to perfection, but all they have is a better computer. Now, I'm really paraphrasing here, but something to that effect.
Yes, I found that a little confusing by exactly what was meant by that. Uh,
Mhm. Yeah,
but I did find that story rather interesting.
yeah. And I also know maybe there is a reason for the abductions by some of the Greys, because there was one abduction that I remember reading about where the person also asked. There was a tall Grey. The
Yes.
small ones, they're just little robots. They grow
Yeah,
them
it's the
in
tall
labs.
ones that are running the ship,
Yeah,
and sometimes those are the ones you'll see in the
the
white coats and stuff.
little guys are just worker bees. But he asked the tall Grey, why are you doing this? And he said, we are on the backside of the evolutionary curve. And by using your DNA, we improve ourselves.
Yes,
Had
and
you, I want you to comment on that one too.
I think that's an amazing statement, and there's probably a lot to that. Um, it's always been assumed that these abductions were part of the hybrid program, but there's more to it than that. And I think
Yeah.
the hybrid program is not the biggest thing nowadays. I think it's I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's there's more important things they're doing now,
Yeah.
and it's always um, been mentioned by them that they're here to improve their abilities and things like that.
Yeah. And also we have the human breeding program.
Yes.
I know several ladies that has been part of that. And they were at one time brought onto a ship where they were presented small children and they were told they were theirs. And I know you have some stuff on that that is puzzling.
I've got so much stuff in this book. There's no way we can come anywhere
Yeah,
close to covering it. But it's there's some powerful stuff in this. But and that human breeding program, it brings up a lot of
yeah.
things. And maybe I should mention, I don't want people to think I'm too weird, but throughout
You,
my life, I've been in contact with what I consider to be either aliens or spirit guides or whatever. I just refer to them as my little friends,
yeah.
and they've been helpful throughout my life. Matter of fact, they've saved my
Mhm.
life a number of times, and then they've always provided me with information. And and usually, what happens is they'll have something to share with me, and and it starts out, oh, maybe like 3 in the morning. I'll wake up, or they'll wake me up, and I'll be put into a trance.
Mm.
And then very often they show me a video, and then they give me an explanation. And this happened to me, oh, maybe a year or so ago, uh, where they told me they needed my help with something. They've been helping me, and now they needed my help with something.
Oh.
And and they showed me a couple of different scenes with a couple of different people. And one of them was a young man who he was like a college student, and all of a sudden, on this college grounds, his I guess his hybridization or whatever you would call it, kind of failed. And some of his reptilian features started to show.
Hmm.
And they kind of turned against him, the people around him. And and what they told me was that they hadn't perfected part of the program and they needed my help,
Oh,
protect people like this. And I'm like, what can I do? That's beyond my pay grade.
yeah.
And they introduced me to a couple of people. They were like scientists they introduced me to. There was one person that they claimed was they called the doctor.
Hmm.
And if you're familiar with that term, that was the person um, that is in charge of the examinations and all the work on the spacecraft.
Hmm.
And I was like completely puzzled by this thing. And they just said that those people would be available to me.
Yeah.
And then I kind of forgot about it. 6 months later, I was communicating with them and I said, what happened with that project? And they came back and they said, they want me to, what it is they want me to write a book on the hybridization program, but not like my regular books. It's to be like a textbook um,
Hmm.
for to help those involved in the project and avoid,
Hmm.
I guess, errors or something.
Hmm.
And I just told them, I said, well, you're going to have to get me a lot more information.
Yeah.
But so far that hasn't happened.
Well, maybe there's a time for everything.
And I think they wanted the title on it was just human alien hybridization.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll
I
get it.
I haven't put out a textbook yet, but there's always the first.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back with the subject
Yeah.
here.
Now, the human breeding program, yeah, I guess that's what we should call it. Uh,
Yes.
my question is, we know it happens because we have so many testimonies from people, from ladies that has been abducted and this has happened. Too many to be just thrown under the rug. But why would they need that? That's my question.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion of for their benefit or for our benefit of eventually getting us ready to withstand some of the changes here on Earth.
Yeah.
Whether we become more like them and more spiritual and less physical, I'm not sure yet, but I think we'll get some answers on that pretty soon.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because they've been involved for since the beginning of time, I think,
Yeah.
with us, and it started.
They've been here before we came.
Yes, yes. So we're the aliens,
Yeah.
not them.
And
But they've always been involved in our, our upgrading our DNA
yeah.
and giving us additional abilities, getting us to be more civilized. I'm not sure how civilized we are yet, but there's been a lot of changes, which is
Yeah.
interesting. There's also a theory that a lot of the upgrades in the DNA uh, is somehow contained in some of the viruses.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they
In
can
fact,
like,
they need that for the receptor sites.
right. And
Yeah.
it's not like an individual thing, it's just like a
Mm.
mass thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we really don't understand that
Yeah.
maybe we'll find some answers to.
Mhm.
Another thing, too, is of course, I got another book out on alien blood. Um, there seems to be a difference in blood. Uh,
Mhm.
the one they call it's Rh negative,
Yeah.
which is referred to as alien blood.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a total thing. I never really looked into that, but I know that
I'll have to get you my book. It's
yeah,
very
they
interesting.
yeah, they say they have some different or even improved capabilities.
Yes. Um, but one thing I have some statistics, and I think it's in my Alien Blood book
Hmm.
on on alien abductions and the abductees. A very large majority of them are those with the alien blood.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I
So
heard too.
something behind that.
Hmm. When we think of alien abductions, most people think, oh, that's a negative thing. They come and grab you, drag you onto the ship, throw you on there, and they do medical experiments on you. But then again, there are positive abductions. I know several instances like that, and you write about it.
It's alien abductions. I mean, there's a lot of fear involved and things like that, but is it any different than going to a doctor for a checkup? I mean, it's not that
Yeah.
unpleasant. We don't like it. And,
Uh,
they take samples of our blood and check us out. But there has been so many stories of them doing positive things.
yeah.
I remember stories of a number of people, soldiers in the Vietnam War, that were healed by them,
Yeah.
and and a great number they were healed of cancers.
Yeah. And they come back totally cured, no cancer at all.
Right.
So they have a little bit of technology there that we have not been allowed to have by our
Well, I
medical
think some
establishment.
of it's becoming available.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but there's certain devices that have been around over the years that help to heal people. Of course, it's not something that your doctor's gonna use um, because
Well,
there's too much money to be made
yeah,
up and
absolutely.
everything
Yeah.
else. But
Yeah.
maybe someday.
Yeah, yeah, I know that it's all about the money. And I remember before the show, we were talking, and I brought up something kind of funny, and I said, I have never heard anybody being abducted or invited to come on the ship for go for a ride or anything like that, where the extraterrestrials have displayed any humor. I've never heard of that. But you had a couple of incidents, so I guess they have humor after all.
Uh, yeah, I don't want to give out a lot of details, but like I say, I've always been in communication with them, and well, I don't know if these are the same aliens that are on these ships or exactly what they are. Um, but they've always had a sense of humor. Um, there was one where they answered a question that I had, and they showed them as leprechauns around a tree stump and smoking a pipe, and and they even made a comment to me when they showed me that, and they were like proud of themselves. They mentioned that they made it funny,
Yeah.
and they seemed very proud that they came up with that.
Hmm.
Another one I was telling you earlier was about in the in this restaurant, which was the basis for the Past Life book.
Hmm.
Um, there was a manager there, and she came running out from the kitchen, and she slipped on the floor. Something was spilled there, and she almost like flew through the air. And I thought, oh, that's the end of her. That's really going to be bad. But she managed to recover. And as this was happening, all of a sudden they were like in my head. Um, and they showed me, her name was Hope, and they showed me a funeral. They took me to this funeral. They had me move up to the podium and read the eulogy there that was on the podium. And the headline on it was said, "We no longer have any hope." And I thought that was the funniest thing. And
I guess their humor is a little drier than some of ours. Huh?
there was another instance when I was at breakfast at that restaurant. My friend Lauren, was a waitress there, she came running by my table. She tripped on her shoelaces, and she was actually almost airborne. She was flying, and I pictured her crashing onto the table in front of her. She was going so fast. Um, but she managed to get control. I don't know how she did it and turn right past my table and save herself. But I
Hmm.
I pictured her landing on the table with a crowd of people there, landing right on the middle of it.
Oh,
And they showed me a newspaper headline, and the headline on it was "Flying Waitress Fired." And I thought that was the funniest thing.
yeah.
My friend Lauren didn't think so, but I got a laugh out of that one.
Yeah, well, they have some form of humor, that's for sure. But
Of course,
I
who
know,
knows what who they are, and who all these
yeah,
there's so many different groups of aliens, and they all have different agendas. Um, but I'll tell you right now, I really don't think we have a threat from the aliens. I think our threat comes from the government.
yeah,
Um,
I totally agree.
you
Do
know, they
you, yeah, do you possibly think that over the last, let's call it 60, 70 years or so, that we've been primed with more and more UFO incidents and more information coming out, primed for an event of a fake alien invasion? Do you think?
Oh, definitely. I think that's in the works. And it's obvious that they've been trying to manipulate us and to get us to fear an alien invasion, which is really kind of stupid because the aliens are so advanced. They
Yeah,
wouldn't need an invasion. They could just switch a button and take over. But that's not their goal. They're not
yeah,
here to invade us or anything else because they were, I'm sure they were behind creating us. And to them, this is a garden planet. Going
yeah,
back to the Adam and Eve story, that we were put here to take care of it.
yeah, absolutely. When we're talking about them, where do we think they come from? Or should I say, where do they come from, or when do they come from?
I'm not sure how to answer that, but I think a lot of them that we deal with come from what is it, Zeta Reticula.
Yeah. And then probably interdimensional ones, and some of them, they come from probably everywhere. The past coming here to see what happened, or the future, from the future coming back here, maybe to try to steer, nudge us in the right direction so they wouldn't disappear in the future, or from other realities, other worlds, other planets, other re realities.
Well, on a previous show, when we covered the Aliens on the Moon book, uh,
Yeah,
there's a lot happening there with aliens. And there's also, I believe, a lot happening on the far side of the moon with our government that they're keeping
yeah,
from us. They've
uh,
got bases there, and there's so much that's being withheld from us. Um, but I'm sure that there's alien entities, some type, on on most of the planets.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I know I shouldn't say the American government because that's a different one than the United States government. The United States government is a corporate government masquerading as a government.
Yes.
And it's right in their own statutes. Title 31 explains it very well. But on the other hand, I think they're very deeply involved with what's going on the moon because it's very profitable. There's mining going on at the huge buildings that we see the NASA prints of it, the mining operations they have. And I can see why the US government will get involved with that.
In the what we covered in my Aliens on the Moon book,
Hmm.
I had a complete huge list of sightings that from
Yeah,
that astronomers have seen things happening there on the moon for many years, and it's been recorded.
yeah. Yeah, that Alien on the Moon, it was good because that's the first one I got of your books.
Okay.
I must have ordered that probably 6 months ago because maybe a year because that one I was really interested in. And you also talk about the process of abduction. There is some things that seem to happen all the time, and there are some signs that we can look for. Even if you don't think that you have been abducted, maybe you can look for some of these signs. Maybe we could mention some of these signs, like, missing time is one of them.
Oh,
And
definitely.
yeah, and then others maybe.
That's an interesting thing. There's there's some stuff that I came across about how they control the time,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and these abductions. People wonder why they don't see them happening and stuff. These abductions may have taken place. Um, it maybe seem like an hour in our time, but maybe a half a second in theirs. So there's things we don't even see that are happening because they can manipulate everything.
yeah. And then there are some people that was abducted and they seem like they spent a lot of time on the ship. They had long discussions and they were on the table for observation for a long time. And then they came back and no time had passed.
Yes, same thing, right?
Yeah,
And also, we hear a lot of stories about the people that are traumatized from the alien abductions and all the procedures, but
yep,
there's a lot of them that have learned a lot of things and they come back as like messengers and
yeah,
reveal things they've learned about, some of the dangers that are happening here on Earth and things that we
yeah.
need to change.
Or come back with a sudden interest in
Yes,
UFOs.
yes.
And then, of course, another sign could be, let's say you have marks on the body that you didn't have last night when you went to sleep. That's another sign that maybe you should start think about what happened during the night. Or if you find a lump on the skin somewhere that wasn't there before, and when you touch it, you can feel something inside of it. Or it could be inside.
That's a subject that's oh,
Do
it's
you do you have any of those that you know of? Wouldn't surprise me.
well, actually, I've got a alien ear here.
Okay.
Um, Now, I've got a couple of chapters in my book on that type of thing with
Yeah.
implants.
Yeah.
It's and it's not something that's like black or white. It's like
Hmm.
there's been a lot of experts who have discussed that.
Yeah.
There's some experts who definitely said that it's a material they made out of material that's not found on Earth.
Yeah.
Um, and that they put out some kind of a electronic signal.
Yeah.
And then there's others who have said that they're nothing. But
Mhm.
the interesting thing is there's been a lot of these that are easily found and some that just kind of fall out.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that happens. Hmm.
yeah, and but the thing is, these aliens are so technically advanced, they're not going to put something in that's just going to wobble out or fall out when you blow your nose.
Yeah.
There's
It,
something different going on there. Um, and they have the technology to insert things into our brain. Uh,
I
things
think I think that if it falls out, it wasn't the alien. That was government screw up.
that could be, but I also have the theory that I mentioned in my book about how I was putting a addition on my house, and the builders came over
Mhm.
and they told me that the building inspector in that particular area liked to see a lot of nails being used in the construction of the
Mhm.
framework. So what they do is right before the inspector comes over, they throw a bunch of nails on the ground to make it look like they were using a lot of nails. I think it could be. My theory is maybe they put like the same type of thing, phony implants around,
Oh, yeah.
so that when they're investigated, they say, "Oh, this is nothing," and they don't look further.
Hmm.
But the actual implants are deeper into you. And some of these implants actually become a part of your body. They grow with it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's also a lot of them that when they're removed, they dissolve
Yeah.
on purpose.
I I'm wondering too, there's so many different races out there. What are the strangest looking race of extraterrestrial that you have run into that somebody have been in contact with? Could it be the praying mantis or something else?
Oh,
What do you?
definitely the praying mantis, which is interesting. Uh, It's they're like to me, I wouldn't want to run across them. Uh, but from what I hear, they're the most advanced race of alien beings, and they're like behind a lot of higher up things that have gone on with
Huh.
us, and which
Yeah,
is
but
kind of strange to see them, like looking like something here on Earth is, like a bug or something.
oh, excuse me. Yeah, and not
I think you're suffering from a recent alien abduction.
yeah, maybe that's it. But there are so many different races, and we hardly ever hear of anybody that had a crocodile head or anything like that. But there's all kinds of statues around the world. In
Yes,
the Far
especially the
East.
bird ones with the big
Yeah,
beaks
there
and
you
things like
go.
that. I've often wondered about that.
Yeah. But they don't seem to be abducting people.
Nope. Well, at least right now it seems to be mostly the grays, um, which leads me to believe that, like I say, from like about the 40s, it was always the grays behind the abductions.
Hmm.
Um, and which leads me to believe that these recent abductions are really our government involved in them. Maybe there are no aliens. Maybe these are like creations that we have created, these grays.
Yeah. Now, that wouldn't surprise me one bit if the aliens are just humans or some of them with
Yeah. But
masks on.
yeah.
That couldn't
Yeah.
surprise me at all.
But I don't want to take away from the idea that there have been a lot of alien abductions, real alien
Yeah.
abductions, and that they're involved in a lot of things in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And in there, we know also cattle mutilations. There have been, uh, oh, I don't know, for instance, 50 years ago, and they start talking about that, or they probably talked about it before. That is a
Yeah,
form.
that is a very interesting subject because there's a lot of stories of the Black Hawk helicopters being seen right after um,
Yeah.
right after an animal mutilation. And although sometimes there's UFOs being seen, but there was one story that it was everybody was convinced it was definitely a alien
Yeah.
mutilation. They saw the UFOs and everything else. And then when they were examining the corpse, they found a scalpel which was military issued,
Okay.
which causes you to kind of wonder what.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have the abilities, the UFOs, to change their appearance.
Yeah.
Um, I There are some that are shaped like clouds. They can appear as clouds,
Mhm.
and I
Yep.
believe, in this thing about the how they can just like zip and they're gone. Uh, I believe what's happening is they're leaving our dimension. They're
Yep.
shifting over to a different dimension where they're something else.
Yep. They create a
And
plasma bubble where they accelerate everything inside of it, and then they go out of the
and
physical
then when
world.
they enter into our atmosphere, they take on the appearance
Yeah.
of, of an actual ship. And there's another theory about that that's always intrigued me is that some of these UFOs are actually alive.
Yeah. They have,
Uh,
they seem to be conscious.
yes, that's another thing that's kind of hard to get your head around.
Yeah. Well, we think about things in all form of old technology. If we accelerate our thinking like it would be 500 to 1,000 years ahead at the present projection of our technology, we have no clue of what would be possible.
Yes, we're stuck in this physical thing here.
Yeah,
Our physical bodies, our physical earth, but there's other dimensions.
yeah. It's
And
it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here in the
and
next.
there's a lot of people who've been reincarnated into other dimensions. But
Yeah,
this is supposed to be the hardest. And
that's. I think I'll second that one.
it's the hardest, but
Yeah,
it's the we learn the most from it.
yeah. But we do learn a lot. Have an awful lot of experiences that, well, at least some of us. There are other people that maybe just slide through life and everything is fine. And that's probably what they came back to experience. I don't know. I'm just,
There's so much that we don't understand now,
yeah,
and I don't think if we were shown it, would even understand because it's so far above us.
yeah,
But back to alien life on different planets. We probably don't see anything on some of these planets because they're in a different shape or different
yeah,
alien life is a different form. Um,
yeah.
I was told by somebody who does um, past life regressions of people that have spent a past life on a different planet,
Mhm.
which is an
Yeah,
interesting concept.
that happens. A lot of things come out under hypnosis that you
Yes.
otherwise will have no access to.
Yes. Yes, I think you're familiar with that. You've done some
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah. We've done some really strange things. take people back 2,000 years before they were born and they start speaking a foreign language that we find out later on was abolished 1,000 years ago. So it couldn't, no chance of that lady ever having it, learning that language, but she knew it when she spoke.
Yes. Yes. And there's a lot of positive things that can be done with that. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
your mind can control everything, can heal you and everything. And it can
yeah,
also make you sick.
absolutely. And that's one of the things my partner on the Broadcast Team Alpha show, she's a hypnotherapist and she does something that I have never heard anybody else do, and that is take people forward in time and then let them meet themselves and have a discussion, maybe get some advice from themselves because
That would
chance.
be hard to handle. It'd be interesting, but I don't know if I could do it. I've got a friend of mine who's a powerful psychic. Um, I have a name of Larry Toth. He's involved in my past life book.
Mhm.
He does this channeling
Yeah.
where they like take over his body, his voice. He doesn't remember anything, and he has somebody record everything and ask the questions. And this entity that takes over his voice, um, refers to him as Randall. But
Mm.
anyway, he comes through with this strange voice, very robotic.
Mm.
And it's like very interesting. I was there for one session and he wanted to ask Randolph about me, but he knew to tell about me. And I'm like, he's not going to know anything about me. Um, you
Oh,
wouldn't believe
yeah,
the amount
sure.
about things in the future
Yeah,
um, that we're being prepared for. And a lot of the stuff came true. It was amazing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. There are some that has it. And I see now we're getting down towards the end of the show here. So,
oh, we've
short,
got so much we haven't covered yet.
I know.
They're just
Uh,
gonna have to get my book.
yeah. Show us the book again if you have it laying there. So we can, people, when they go to Amazon, then they can look for that picture. Uh, there you go. Alien
And
Abductions.
alien abductions, yes.
Yep,
And
there you go. Go to the,
and as usual on these programs, when I we cover a book, I temporarily lower the price on Amazon
oh,
so they can
okay.
go there and get a good deal because I
Yeah.
want everybody to read this stuff.
That's good. Yeah. So go to Amazon and put Gil Carlson in the search bar, and then all these 41 books are coming up.
Yes,
And scroll to there's a few of them down at the bottom that I just couldn't get by. I had to go in and look deeper. You're going to find some interesting stuff down at the bottom also when you scroll down.
that's
So,
right.
yeah. So, gosh, we will do this again. There is more to talk about. So,
Well, that's for sure.
gosh, thank you for being with us and good luck to you in the meantime.
Thank you, Augie.
All right. Well, then we will see you again next Sunday. And until then, be good to each other. And before you leave, go ahead and subscribe if you could. Subscribe to YouTube. And if you see us any of the other 44 channels, you can't really subscribe, but you can like us. That we would appreciate. So thank you, and we will see you later.